What up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your guy, Sum. Hit the keys. Here today to bring you guys a quick review and demonstration over Orb Producer Suite 3.0. In case you don't know what Orb Producer Suite is, it's basically an AI generated suite of 4 different plugins. They got chords, melodies, bass, and arpeggios. Make sure if you guys like this content though, you drop a whole elbow on that like button, hit subscribe and that notification bell so every time we bring you guys a new video, you can be the first to see. But let's go ahead and get right into this review. Sum, hit the key. All right, guys, so I brought you to the website first. I brought you here because this is my first edition of Orb Producer Suite. So I wanted to make sure that I hit all the new items for those who might be upgrading or for those who might have already used it before. So let's go ahead and check out some of the new things in the plugin. They have what's called chaining blocks. And so now you can basically map out your whole entire beat in the plugin if you want to, and then you can actually link the themes together. They have keep bass chords, so no matter how complex that your chord progressions get, it'll always keep the bass note of your chord, which is pretty cool. They have polyrhythms, so it makes it so that the rhythms can be a little more complex. It adds a new depth to the music, they say. It's got lyrical melodies, so basically elevate your music with lyrical melodies. Lyrical melodies create an anacrusis or pickup note to the bar. So that's pretty cool how they have pickup notes now to add a little more complexity to those melodies to make them not sound so AI driven. The user interface is different. So as you can see, it looks a little prettier. Looks nice to me. I like the GUI a lot in this one. It's got a new chord engine. So basically you can change the different chords and it lets you know what the best chord is going to sound like, whether it's going to be major, minor, suspended 4, second, augmented, or diminished. And then it's got different intervals too, so you can go 7th, 9th, 11th, and 13th. It's got some more smart features like the harmonized MIDI. They had that before, but now it's a little more intuitive. You can actually drop MIDI files into here, and you can work with the MIDI files that you have actually on your computer already. Velocity maps. So they didn't have this before. Now you can change the velocity of the different notes and stuff like that in your chords or in your melodies, your bass, or your arpeggios. That's pretty nice. They got playing chords, so you can play chords from a MIDI controller now. That's also a nice feature. MIDI editor, so you can add custom notes, so you can paint notes onto the MIDI editor before you drag and drop them into your DAW. And so then again, here's just the chords, the melody, the Orb bass, and the arpeggio. Those are the 4 plugins that you get. It is currently on sale for 99 euros, which is roughly around $116 USD American. I do want to let you guys know there is an affiliate link below that you can tap if you want to support the channel. You could always get it through that affiliate link. I would appreciate that. I do want to let you know though that this is not a paid sponsorship, so they did not pay me to give them a good review. They wanted me to give them my honest opinion, so that's what I'm here for. So let's go ahead and hop into FL Studio. When you hop into FL Studio, the plugin's going to look like this. So again, it looks pretty nice. It looks pretty. Before we get started, I'm just going to play. What's kind of cool about this again is that it's 4 different plugins. So you are going to have to load all 4 plugins into your DAW to use it. But that's okay, because you can switch through them and you can solo to just hear one. And if you unsolo, all of them will play at the same time. So they're all synchronized up and they're all ready to go. So I made a little beat. Well, I didn't even really make a beat. I just loaded up the plugin. And these are the melodies and the arpeggios and the bass and everything I got. And I just threw some drums, some hi-hats, a snare, and a kick in there just to give it, a feel of a beat. So it's only 4 bars, but I'm gonna go ahead and play it. And this is what you can get basically starting. So in my honest opinion, that's not even a bad start for a beat. But let's go ahead and just hop into the plugin so I can do a little more explaining for you guys. Might not hit every feature in this plugin because this is a lot to unpack. There's a lot going on with this plugin, but I am going to go over a whole lot to let you guys, kind of see what it can do in case you've never seen it before, and let you know what it's all about. So let's start up here at the top controls. Here you have your solo and your mute. So as you see, if I push play, you can hear chords, you can hear arpeggios, you can hear the bass, you can hear the melody. But if I push solo, it'll only play the chords, or it'll only play whatever plugin that I have open. So if I have the melody ones open, it'll only play the melody, so on and so forth. So, and then with the same thing, I can mute this one and play all the rest of them. Right here, you have the volume. So you can set the output volume. Right here, you have your sound presets. So like Orb Synth, I did a review on that card in the corner. It has a lot of the sounds of Orb Synth here. So basically, you got different stuff from acoustic to bass to chords to leads, pads, percussive, plucks, voice, favorites. You have a lot of different stuff here. I'm not going to go through all the sounds because I'm more focused on showing you guys the AI stuff. If you want to hear a lot of the sounds, you can go to that review I did on Orb Synth. I went through a lot of the sounds there. But let's go ahead and keep moving over. So right here, you have this link controller. And what this link controller does is it's going to link these themes together for you. So I'll show you a little bit more of that as I get down to themes and stuff like that. But if you click this link button, it's going to continue to link over more themes and more themes and more themes, and it'll link them all together. And you can basically create your whole track on this little screen right here, which is a cool little feature. And then you have your control right here. So if you turn your DAW sync off, you can use these buttons right here. Stop, rewind, and all that stuff. If you turn your DAW sync on, it's going to cut those off, and then you'll just be able to control it up here with the DAW sync. So that's the difference between those controls. With the MIDI, this allows you to basically play the MIDI or mute the MIDI. And then this right here is super fire. This is the synth. And so it's basically a wavetable synth. And they've kind of changed the design from the previous suite and from the Orb Synth. They've updated it. I think it looks pretty nice. You got a whole lot of control and a lot of stuff over here that you can do. The modulation matrix is fire. They have some different effects that you can add on, from delay to reverb, saturation. You can make stuff glide. So you can do a whole lot with this. Again, I'm not going to go through all of this because it's a wavetable synth. Again, there's a lot to unpack in this plugin, so I'm going to focus on the other things, but just know that you get a nice powerful synth with this AI driven suite as well. So that's something to keep in mind. So let's go ahead and shut this down and get back over here. So now as we're looking, if you push play right here, it's just going to play those notes so you can hear what they sound like. You can also click on the notes as well, and you can hear what they sound like. You can move these notes around too without a problem as well. Another thing that's pretty cool, so we'll keep going on. If you look right here, you can enter the chords with the MIDI input right here. Right here, you can go to the next song chord after each chord is played. This button right here will randomize the selected chord. So like, let's say I pushed on this button right here, and then I hit this, it randomizes that chord for me. And then if I push this button right here, it'll randomize all the chords. So you see how they all moved. All right, and so then right here, obviously you have your different kinds of chords. So I can hit 7th, I can hit 9th, I can hit 11th, 13th, and it'll change those chords for you appropriately. So then next we have this OR button right here. This OR button right here randomizes everything. So if I push this button right here, boom, you see how it randomizes all this stuff. It starts splitting up notes, to start doing a bunch of stuff and giving us a different sound. So you have these back and redo buttons. So go ahead and hit undo, and we'll take it back to this. There's also a settings button right here, and it just tells you about Or Producer Suite. It's pretty cool. So here is where you would drag your MIDI file. We're not going to focus on that today, but you know, all you would have to do is basically take your MIDI file and drag it in there, and then it's going to change your MIDI file here to whatever that is that you played. And then what's cool too is that whenever you try to create melodies and bass notes and stuff around that arpeggios, it would change it and create it around your MIDI that you dropped in. And so, although I did not show you this, I'm pretty sure you guys already figured this out because you're staring at it the whole time. In order to get this into your DAW, into another instrument, all you're going to have to do is drag and drop that on there. So we're going to turn this link off for a second, and we're just going to go to theme 2. And if I just drag this and like this, bam, it's in my DAW now, and I have it. And so, you know, you can use these progressions and these things that it's building for you to help you build and create whatever it is that you do want to create. So, so let's go ahead and look at some of these controls. With these controls, when you go to tonality is how you're going to be able to change the key. So we can change to whatever key we want to. So if we wanted it to be, you know, an F, boom, you see it changes the notes over here. It's got your time signature. So you can change your time signature from whatever you want, from 7/8 to, you know, 2/4 to 4/4. 4/4 obviously is the standard that most of us make music to. So then right here, they have your scale. So you can choose between major, minor, whatever it is that you wanted to put the scale in. Next to that, they have bars. So that will make the grid, whether you want it to be 4 bars, 8 bars, you know, how it stretched it out for you right there. However long you want it to be, up to 16 bars. We're just going to leave it for 4 bars right now to work on. And then right here, they have your chord progressions. So you can click on this, and then you can see they have a ton of different chord progressions, a ton of them. And so you can click on the chord progression, and you can hear what it sounds like before you play it. And they have them all categorized over here by minor, major, you know what I'm saying, excited, uplifted, so on and so forth, epic. So that's pretty cool. You know, they got all kinds of different stuff. Electro, guess I only got a couple here. So that's pretty nice. With all this stuff too, I forgot to mention, you can favorite all this stuff. So if you put a star next to something, like if I put a star next to this, then it'll save my favorites folder. Everything has a favorites folder. So like all your synths, all that stuff has a folder there too. And like with your synth up here, I better mention this as well. You can save this. So if you start messing with a sound and then you make a preset that you like, you can just come up over here and then you can save it under user preset, and then you can, you know, do whatever you want with it from there. So that's pretty cool as well. So let's go ahead and hop over to chords. So when you come over to chords, as you'll see, whatever you're clicked on, it'll tell you. So like right here, you see I have an F major, B7. So boom, it's telling me that right there, and it's telling me all the intervals and everything, the type and the scale. So this can help you learn music theory. So if I skip on this one right here, boom, it's telling me an F major, you know? So that's pretty nice. With this as well, like let's say I decided that I wanted to change this to a different note. I could just click on that note and boom, it changes it to an E for me. If I wanted to make it a ninth, I can push it and it'll change it for me. If I wanted to make it a minor, I can do that, you know? If I wanted to make it a suspended 4, I can do that. So augmented, so that's pretty cool. You can change it to whatever you want to change it to, and it'll change it as long as you have that set of chords selected. So next we're going to come over here to notes. And in notes, this one is pretty simple. Rhythmic rule right here. So this is, if you turn this on, you can change how the chords are laid out. So you see how the chords split up over here from one long note to basically 4 notes and a bar. You can change it from every beat note, or, you know, all bar duration, every 8th note. You can change it to different stuff. So like, so let's go ahead and we're going to randomize the chords real quick. We'll just randomize it like this. Now we'll come back over here into notes. So now let's come back over here and check out some more of the rhythmic rule. So if we wanted to, you know, obviously we can go back to the full bar duration. So that's pretty cool. Then you have your polyrhythm, which you can change the time signature of just the one plugin. So you can leave the time signature of the beat at 4/4, but then you could change the polyrhythm of whatever it is, whether it's the chords, the melody, the bass, or the arpeggio, to whatever you wanted it to be. So you could change that so that it's off and it's just giving the beat just a different little feel. So like I can turn everything else on and so, you know, you can do a lot of stuff with that. So we're going to go ahead and go back to, you know, all bar duration, and we're going to put this back on 4/4 though. So now when we're looking at these other things, if you keep bass for chords, obviously it's going to keep the bass note for your chords. When you're looking at density, so if I change the density, if I make the density go up, it's going to add more notes. If I turn the density down to 0, it's going to make it one long note. So like if I push play, so then you can change the complexity. So with the complexity, you see as I push it down to 0, it gets pretty basic. Now, if I push the complexity up, it's going to get a little more complex. And so if you look at this right here, you'll notice that this melody is basically, or this breakup is basically the same as this one with the bars. So if I change this bar length over here, it's going to make it a little different. So you see how these two are still the same, these two are the same, but if I change this one, now you see how they're starting to get different, and it's changing up the way that the actual note is split up to give it a different sound, a more unique sound. And then again, you can still mess with the complexity and change it up even more. And so this button right here, this is another OR button for randomize. If I turn off the top and I push randomize, it'll only randomize these bottom parameters. If I turn off the bottom and turn on the top, it'll only randomize these parameters. So you see how it only randomized those. So next, let's look at the bottom. So we have octave right here. It's self-explanatory. You know, if you can raise it up or down an octave, and it'll make it sound, you know, obviously pitched up or pitched down. Syncopation. So with this one right here, it pulls and pushes the notes off the beat to create syncopation. So, you know, as you can see, the notes are moving. So, you got spread right here. So this will spread these notes in the bar up and down. So you see how it spread them apart. They'll still stay in the same chord progression, but it'll move them up. So instead of it being like C4, it might be C5 or something like that. It'll move it up an octave. And then, you know, some things stay in the same octave range. So, but it all stay in the same chord progression. And then, you know, polyphony, obviously this is going to add more notes, more voices. So boom, you got more noises there. And then silence, this will change the link note from end to front, if that makes sense. So you see how it took away it at the end. You see how it took it away at the front. So it made silence at the beginning when I have it negative 100, and then it has silence at the end when I have it at 100. So let's go ahead and hop into velocity. So this is something that's new as well. With velocity, as you look down here, there's different notes. So with the velocity on the strong beat, this basically controls the velocity of the first note on the first and the 3. So, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So on the 1 and the 3, this will control the strong beat on that. So it raises up all the 1s and the 3s. And the weak beat will raise up the 2s and the 4s. So as you're looking, it raises up to 2s and 4s. The offbeat will do whatever's not in that. So if you have something that's like, in between the 2 and the 3, that's what it's going to raise up, if that makes sense. And so it'll randomize some of these velocities and stuff like that as well. If you hit this OR button in the middle, it'll randomize everything. So let's go ahead and look at a few of the other plugins, just so I can show you some of the things that they do, because they do some cool things as well. So before we get over into the melodies, I just want you to know I was clicking around on some stuff, and this is just one of the random chord progressions I got. So again, that's not a bad random chord progression. So I'll push this again. Here's another random chord progression. So that's not that bad. All right, so let's go ahead and hop right into the melodies. So with the melodies, the biggest difference that they have is that they have this human touch button instead of the spread button. So instead of spread with the chords, how you would spread the notes through different octaves, with this one, they have human touch. And it basically changes the note lengths and kind of their position a little bit to make it sound like they're more, humanized. So we'll go ahead and push play on this. So as you can hear, it doesn't sound like they're on the grid as much. So that's a nice feature as well. And then it has all the rest of everything else from, you can set up chords and you can match everything up and so on and so forth. All right, so let's go ahead and hop right on over to the arpeggio. With the arpeggio, the only difference in the arpeggio from the last one, I believe, is that they have passing notes. So sometimes when you randomize your notes, it's going to give you passing notes. So you see how you allow passing notes? So like, let's say your scale was A, C, E. It might put a B in there to help pass the arpeggio up to give it a different sound. So that's also a nice quality that they've added to make it sound a little more humanized versus AI driven. And then you also have your bass. And so then your bass is just going to basically take your bass notes and it's going to put them in place and put together, bass patterns for you. You can also randomize this so that you can get different bass patterns as well. One last thing that I did want to show you that I didn't get to show you earlier was that you can actually build more than one theme. So like, let's go over to our chords. And like, let's say I wanted to add more. So I can add another theme right here. And with this other theme, let's say I just wanted to start off with some basic chords. Now, let's say I wanted to link them together so that it would play. All I would have to do is hit this link button. So you see how it disappears, the theme one disappears, the link button's not on. If the link button is on, it'll stay there. And so now when I push play, it will play the whole entire region for me. So what are my thoughts on the OR Producer Suite 3.0? In my personal opinion, this is definitely the best AI driven plugin that I've used so far up to date. I think it is definitely a solid tool if you're somebody like me who maybe makes 2, 3, 4 beats a day and you want to start making more beats or making more melodies or just a better, start bass or something like that. It's good for somebody who's just starting out making beats because it can teach you different chord progressions. It can teach you why certain melodies go together. It can teach you why different just things go together in a progression, chords, bass, arpeggio, so on and so forth. So not only is it a good tool to help you create and to spark creativity, it's a good tool to teach. And sometimes I think that's the part that we forget when we look at these AI driven, technology and these plugins like this, is that these tools are made to help us, teach us music theory if we don't know them. So I would definitely recommend grabbing this. I would definitely recommend checking it out. It's definitely worth the money to me, my personal opinion, because you get the 4 different suites, you get the synth, you get all the sounds, you get all that stuff. So make sure if you guys like this content though, you drop a whole elbow on that like button, hit subscribe and that notification bell, so every time we bring you guys a new video, you can be the first to see. Appreciate you guys' time as always, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. All right, guys and gals, thanks for watching the video. Make sure you hit the subscribe and like button. Make sure you hit that notification bell so every time a new video comes out, you can be the first to know. Let me know what tutorials you want to see next in the comments, and see you next time.
Sum, hit the key.